welcome to this video. I'm so glad you're here. Before we start on the topic of this specific video, I do have to say that I myself am dedicated to the truth. I am dedicated to exposing the truth, acknowledging and warning others of the scams and frauds involved in other parts of the country, specifically Africa, related to extended gestational cryptic pregnancy of 18 months up to 14 years. Acknowledging these things and bringing light upon the fact that this is happening is important and required. Just so you know, I am not the only person who has decided to speak up and warn others about this occurrence and about this fraudulent activity. I'm not against any specific person or community. I myself am against deception. I'm against misinformation. I'm against medical discrimination. I'm against spiritual manipulation, and I'm against evil. My adversary is not the cryptic pregnancy community or anyone involved in this community of extended gestation. My adversary is Satan himself. I stand for and educate about the truth. The information I present in my personal story with false cryptic pregnancy back in 2016, me coming forward with this information and sharing this information is not a vendetta against extended gestation or the possibility of an 18-month, 7-year, up to 14-year pregnancy happening. This is simply the truth about the extortion, exploitation, manipulation, and deception of vulnerable women involved in a community that chooses to believe a theory about pregnancy that was invented and flourished in a third world country, Africa, more specifically, Lagos, Nigeria. So if you're wondering and wanting to learn more about the fraudulent activity that's happening in Africa, I'm here to expose and talk about it some more. So, the manipulation that happens. A concoction that is supposedly to lift the ovaries is prepared by a physician or a pastor or even a religious leader, and it's given to a woman who is seeking fertility or a woman who has not been able to previously get pregnant and carry a pregnancy. After this concoction is consumed, these women typically stop seeing monthly bleeding. After an average of 4 to 5 months, the woman might be told something like, by midnight of a particular day, the spirit that gives babies would be visiting them, but they cannot fall asleep, and if she does fall asleep, then she will lose her baby. This is told to them by the physician or the pastor, religious leader, that, the spirit that gives babies will be visiting them. So the effects of the concoction itself can wear off at any time, and inducing a period or monthly bleeding or even just spotting. The physician or pastor would then say to the woman, because she more than likely would go back to that same pastor or that same physician, because they would exclusively or expressively tell her to do so. This person, man or woman, would then decide to either tell her that she lost the baby and that they needed to repeat the process or something like that. Or they'll tell her that she did not lose the baby and that she will experience monthly bleeding, but that she is still pregnant and not to worry. So the physician or the pastor will then tell the woman that she will not test positive in urine, blood, or ultrasound throughout her entire pregnancy, throughout the entire duration. She will not receive any kind of confirmation that she is actually pregnant, and that she just needs to, trust and the experience and trust and the spirits or whatever it may be, something of the sort. The physician can do this for months, or the physician can decide to even repeat this process over and over and over and over and over again for years. Let's also keep in mind, and it's very, very super important to know and remember, that a phantom pregnancy can easily be induced by any kind of, it can be induced medically by any kind of, for anybody who has knowledge and wants to be mischievous. It's just, you tell a woman she's pregnant and her body pretty much takes care of it, especially if you are messing with her hormones using certain plants, herbs, and supplements and foodstuffs. So if the woman is never actually pregnant and she's just being manipulated by these concoctions, these certain herbs, spices, and plants put together, then where do the babies come from? There's tons of articles from Africa where women claim to have been pregnant for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 14 years, and they show a picture of the mother with the baby. Where is she getting these babies? So let's also keep in mind that the woman can conceive naturally and deliver in 9.5 to 10 months, and then believe that she was actually pregnant for so many years. So she could believe that she's pregnant for 5 years, gets pregnant naturally, has a baby in 9.5 to 10 months, and then went on to believe that she was actually pregnant for 5 years and 10 months. Especially if she has a baby in her arms. But that's just natural conception. That's just something that can naturally happen. A woman who believes that she is pregnant, but she's actually experiencing a phantom pregnancy, can get pregnant and go on to have a baby. That's just the natural chances of conception. So for the women who do not conceive naturally by chance during their medically induced phantom pregnancy brought on by these physicians or pastors in Africa, if these women do not just naturally conceive, then the physicians or clinics approach desperate pregnant women. They promise these pregnant women to take care of them, and when their babies are born, the mother is then paid off, while her babies are then sold to these unsuspecting women who have been thinking that they were pregnant for 13 months to 14 years. So for the women who do not naturally conceive, they are actually they're sold a baby without their knowledge. How, you say? Well, these doctors and physicians mess with these women's hormones through the use of hormones themselves, as well as plants, herbs, and spices. But they also, which is even more powerful and even more effective, is they put the idea of pregnancy into the minds of these women by telling them, you are pregnant. To hear that from a doctor or a physician that has been trying to help you conceive and trying to give you fertility, to have them tell you you are pregnant, that is the biggest way these false pregnancies or phantom pregnancies are triggered. And then they are called cryptic pregnancies in Africa. So these physicians and doctors in Africa tell these women that they are in fact pregnant despite having negative test results. So then how do they convince the woman that she actually delivered? Well, this is a whole nother thing and a whole nother type of abuse as well. The predator physician, they continue to tell the woman that she is pregnant until the woman either naturally conceives and goes on to deliver a healthy baby, or they find a baby that comes available from a different woman and that is suitable to use. They then take the unsuspecting woman who has been pregnant for years, and then they put her to sleep. They cut her open, and then when she wakes up, they tell her that she had a C-section, and they present her with her baby. The woman in this situation is often not able to breastfeed because she was never actually pregnant. And there's no reason for her to suspect or think that she wasn't pregnant, especially when she has a baby in her arms. So she's going to be 100% sure that she was pregnant for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years, because she's been working with this physician, or she's been working with this pastor, or whoever claims or tells her that she's been working with these professionals. And so she has this baby in her arms. She has a C-section cut. She's been cut open. So this baby had to have come from her. This entire situation to me is sad, and it's something that should be exposed. It's something that should be talked about. It's just something that should be known that this is happening in Africa. There are women who are being given children that are not their genetic makeup. They are not related to them in any way, and they are being told that these are in fact their children, and they're also being used to corroborate and confirm a pregnancy that is not physically, genetically, it's not possible. You cannot carry a child for 5 years. You can have a phantom pregnancy for 5 years. You can believe that you are pregnant for 5 years. Nobody can stop you from believing that. But you cannot actually be physically pregnant with a viable baby, slow growing or not slow growing, regular growing, whatever kind of growing you want to make up. These stories in Africa, they're heartbreaking to me, because these women are being lied to. They're being used by these professionals, or people who claim to be professionals. And it's unfair. Also, what about the women who are actually carrying these children and bearing these children and giving these children away? Are they always giving them away? And that's my question. Are some of these babies stolen? So I think that this information needs to be out there. It needs to be heard. I had to make a video about it.